Hello again and welcome back to Dave on Jays. Today we're taking a look at how things are going to shake down in the AL East. The Blue Jays will play 76 of their 162 game schedule against these four opponents. So in many ways, the way they perform against these four teams will come to define their season. No pressure. It's actually quite a lot of pressure. We're going to be looking at these teams in ascending order based on where I think they're going to finish. So let's get into it. They're going to be real bad. Next segment. No, but seriously, they're gonna be really bad. This Baltimore Orioles rebuild has been going on for a while, and it doesn't look like they're remotely done. I have to be real, they do have some pretty nice pieces. Cedric Mullins had a 30 home run, 30 stolen base season last year. You can't sneeze at that. Trey Mancini is an all-star. In our hearts. John Means is a legitimately pretty good pitcher. He'd be a number 2 or a number 3 on a good team. And Ryan Mountcastle looks like he's gonna be a player. After that, they signed Rougned Odor in the offseason, and that was probably the highlight there. Also Jordan Lyles, but, which one of those two guys punched Jose Bautista in the face? Checkmate, Jordan Lyles. And look, it's not all doom and gloom in Baltimore. They have Adley Rutschman, the consensus number 1 prospect in baseball. And hey, this is the last year of the Chris Davis contract, so that's nice. For what feels like the 40th year in a row, we can say, don't worry, Baltimore fans, better days are ahead. Not this year, though. This year is going to be rough. Look, Orioles, all I want from you, all I want for you, is that you don't go 1-18 against the Rays again this year. 1-18, guys. Come on, show a little pride. Let's go. You can shoot for the stars. 5-14. I believe in you. You can do this. Of course, if you wanted to go 1-18 against the Jays this year, I'd allow that. Okay. We are now at the point of the video where no matter where I put these next 4 teams, their fan base is going to be furious at me. Because all 4 should probably win 90 plus games and be legitimate threats to win the World Series. The American League East is insane, you guys. This can't be overstated. But somebody's got to finish 4th in this division, and I say Boston, damn it. It was a pretty quiet offseason, all things considered, in Boston, until they belatedly and almost begrudgingly landed one of the big fish in shortstop Trevor Story. And if you thought that lineup was built to bang doubles off the Green Monster before, and it was, this lineup might just take it to video game levels. It might get ridiculous. Now, coming into this season, shortstop and presumed captain of the team, Xander Bogaerts, does not have a contract for next season. Okay, technically he does, but it's a player option and he's absolutely going to opt out. In some ways, I'm looking at this Story contract and saying, that's with an eye toward the future too. If Xander decides to walk, they've got their replacement in-house ready to go. For this year, though, that lineup is going to be ridiculous. They are going to score some runs. Every team's going to score some runs, but they're going to score more than other teams' amount of runs. You get what I'm saying. So with that kind of gushing praise about their offense and the ridiculous joke ballpark that they get to play 81 games in, yeah, I said it, I stand by it. Joke ballpark. Why would I put this team 4th overall? Well, if I like the hitting, yeah, I'm not so high on the pitching, really. I look at the starting rotation and I see volatility. Their ace, Chris Sale, who just can't stay on the field, is out until June. Which means that some serious innings are being given to the likes of Nick Pivetta, Tanner Houck, Michael Wacha, and Dick Mountain. His name is Rich Hill, but Reddit calls him Dick Mountain, and so do I, and so should you. Anyway, that is not a rotation to strike fear in the hearts of anybody, much less some of the offensive powers that we have in the American League East. If those guys can hold the line, and Chris Sale comes back looking like Chris Sale, between that offense and enough pitching, yeah, they're a World Series threat for sure. But I see those odds as being a little bit longer than some of the other teams in this division, so I'm putting him 4th. Plus, I don't know why I'm telling you this, but I feel like I have to say it. I just don't like the vibe of Alex Verdugo. He just doesn't seem like my kind of guy. I don't know why. I have no evidence to base that on, just a feeling. I, for some reason, wanted you guys to know it. So, you're welcome for that, I guess. Anyway, 4th place. Deal with it. Oh, and speaking of guys who don't have a contract for next year, did you guys hear that Aaron Judge doesn't have a contract for next year? Yes, you did. And so did everyone. And so will everyone again. And again. I'm kind of already exhausted by this story, and we haven't even gotten started yet. All that means for this year is that Aaron Judge is playing for his next contract. He is going to go off, I guarantee it. If he can stay on the field, which he probably will, 60 home runs, 140 RBIs, why not? Aaron Judge is a gigantic human being, and in that ballpark, his pop flies to right field are home runs, so the sky's the limit on that, really. I'm not concerned about Aaron Judge's offense. I have concerns about pretty much everybody else. A lot of the big bats in the Yankees lineup are either over 30, have a pretty checkered injury history, or both of those things. How many games are you realistically going to get out of Giancarlo Stanton? Like 115, 120 on the outside? And maybe 30 of those actually playing in the field because the guy's made of glass? Josh Donaldson hasn't exactly been the picture of health, and they're expecting him to be like their third best hitter. Aaron Hicks missed all of last year, and now they're going to need him to play all 162 in center field. None of these guys are super young anymore, and it's got to be pretty worrying. As constructed when they're on the field, yeah, this is a very good offense, and they play in a very small ballpark. I just wonder how many games you're realistically going to get out of all these guys. I think they're going to spend a lot of their time crossing their fingers, hoping that enough of their players stay healthy to get them over the finish line. But New York is kind of the inverse of Boston in how I feel about them. I love Boston's offense, not super convinced about their pitching. For New York, I'm a little bit iffy on their hitting, specifically on their ability to stay healthy. That pitching staff is real good, y'all. First of all, Garrett Cole is basically that most elusive, most valuable of commodities. A reliable ace. They paid him all the money in the world to be that guy, and yeah, he's that guy. He's a threat to win the Cy Young Award every single year. I don't know what the Vegas odds are on him winning it this year, but I don't think they'd be that long. There's a pretty good argument to be made he should have won last year's Cy Young instead of Robbie Ray. But regardless, with him anchoring the starting rotation, they can go a long way. And the rest of the guys aren't bad either. Taillon, Montgomery, those guys are pretty good. Luis Severino has a chance to be even better than them. And Nestor Cortez is also there, with his mustache. And their bullpen is low-key pretty good, too. Picking up Holmes at the deadline last year was a masterstroke. Jonathan Loáisiga showed just how valuable he was when the bullpen tanked when he got hurt, and then got a lot better when he came back last year. And I think that Aroldis Chapman is healthy. I think he's got a clear head, and I think he has a chance to have a monster season this year. I think the pitching will be there. I think I have enough depth on pitching that they can even absorb a few losses. I'm not as sold on the offense, but I think they'll score more than enough runs to win 90-plus games and be a threat to the World Series, blah, blah, blah. You've heard all this before. This is every team, guys. This is every team. I'm not exaggerating. I put them third not as an indictment of the Yankees, but more of a statement of the talent of the two teams above them. Anyway, the Jays get to find out a little bit about the Yankees in person right at the beginning of the season. They go to New York for 4 games right after the opening series, so buckle up for that. I almost don't have anything to say about Tampa. They won 100 games last year, and how? I mean, they're not bad, far from it. They're an excellent baseball team. It's just, they make me feel like I'm taking crazy pills every year. I mean, I think I follow the league. I think I have a good idea of where a team's at. I feel so strongly about that I started a YouTube channel. I've done a couple of episodes just talking about what I think about the league. You don't do that unless you think you have at least a tiny iota of an idea of what you're talking about. But every year it's the same story where it's just guys I've never heard of come out of nowhere and are amazing. It was just one day I'm just, minding my own business, and suddenly it's who's Brandon Lau and why is he demolishing my team? Joey Wendell is an all-star. Sure, why not? Mike Zunino gets run out of Seattle on a rail. Now he's an all-star. Yeah, sure, why not? I mean, Willy Adames, who was playing a key role on a team that is gonna win its division, got shipped out for spare parts because they had Wander Franco just in back, ready to go to replace him. That's even skipping a step. Before Franco came up, they had Taylor Walls, who filled in for 25 games until Franco was ready to go. What? Whoa. It just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. They are bottomless. They are endless. You look at the list of Baseball America's top prospects every year, and 18 of them are Tampa Bay Rays. It doesn't matter how many of them graduated. It doesn't matter how many of them they traded away. It doesn't matter how many of them they had last year. They have more now. When you play the Rays, you're not playing a baseball team so much as you're trying to sandbag a flood. You're trying to hold it back. It's absolutely exhausting. And you just know that they're going to win 95 games again this year. How? I don't know. And it doesn't matter how they did it last year. They're going to do it with a completely different crop of players this year. There will be some notable exceptions of guys that you can count on being there. Kevin Kiermaier is timeless and ageless and will win a Gold Glove in center field again. He's also very good looking. I don't know why I felt the need to point that out, but he's really good looking, like network TV good looking. Wander Franco is going to be a star. 4 years, they've extended him. He's going to be there forever and a day, so you can count on that, I guess. Mike Zunino's back. hitting bombs and taking walks and not much else. And they've got a great young pitching staff, because of course they do. Both Shane McClanahan and Shane Baz are good candidates to be Cy Young threats this year. And they'll pull up like 40 relievers that you've never heard of that will be excellent for like 3 weeks. And Kevin Cash will run the whole thing with the ruthless precision of a maestro. And in a process as inexorable as the rolling of a glacier, the Rays will win 95 games, be in the playoffs, and be the team that no one wants to face in the playoffs. There's nothing you can do but stand and admire it. There's nothing you can do but tip your cap to an organization that wins ruthlessly on 10 cents on the dollar. I mean, I kind of hate it because they pioneered a lot of the player salary suppression techniques that are now kind of causing all this labor unrest that we've been dealing with the last few years in the league. Finding value in the margins, right? That's what these guys are all about. But when Andrew Friedman left Tampa Bay and brought this same approach to LA, where he's got all the money in the world to play with, he showed that you can find that value in the margins and still spend and still be a driver of player salaries. And in so doing, do his part towards continuing labor satisfaction with the current CBA, which means no strikes, no lockouts, no problems. But Tampa Bay can't or won't do it. Stuart Sternberg instead is like openly flirting with moving the team because he has this terrible stadium and he's trying to get Tampa Bay to build him a downtown stadium at their expense, of course. It's basically if Oakland won every year. You just have a hard time criticizing for all their bullshit because, oh, well, they won 100 games. How can we say anything about it? It just makes me nuts, but you have to stand back and admire it. Man, that's a ruthlessly efficient, excellent baseball operation. I hope they don't win, but they will. They're going to win so much, in fact, that I think only one team is going to be ahead of them at the end of the year in the standings. I wonder who that could be. Okay, Blue Jays. Let's play ball. Yes, that's right, folks. You heard it here first. Well, not first, but you heard it here. The Toronto Blue Jays are going to win the American League East. In fact, this is going to be the best regular season in Toronto Blue Jays history. They will win 100 games or more for the first time in franchise history. Hey, how novel. A fan of a team thinks that they're the best in the league. That's the first time that's ever happened. No, but seriously, hear me out. The Blue Jays have done something that they've only done a few times in their past before. Generate a base of homegrown talent that can legitimately compete against the best in the league. They supplemented that homegrown talent with some savvy trades for players who were great breakout candidates or players who needed a change of scenery. And now, in this past offseason, they've added the final pieces to the puzzle. Some serious free agent muscle, and a savvy trade for a big upgrade at a position of weakness to turn a team that was really good last year into a team that has everyone talking about a World Series coming north of the border. That's right, this is not just my opinion. This is the opinion of the baseball media sphere at large. The most popular prediction for the World Series this year was the Toronto Blue Jays versus the Los Angeles Dodgers. And considering that the Dodgers are the consensus best team in baseball and have been for a while, the fact that the Blue Jays are being put up there against them says an awful lot. Bottom line, this team's good and it's going to win a bunch of games. It starts with the two homegrown superstars, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Bo Bichette. Vladdy turned in an insane year last year, leading the league in most statistical categories. I think almost any other year he would have won MVP. I mean, Shohei Ohtani did pretty much have to do his best Babe Ruth impression just to beat him. And oh, by the way, he was 22. 22. Yeah, he's a pretty special player. I am legitimately on tenterhooks waiting to see what he's going to do for us this year. Bo Bichette is a fabulous two-way player. Top 10 at his position, offensively and defensively. He led the American League in hits last year, 29 home runs, defense that steadily got better as the year went on, and elite hair. Top flight hair. Teoscar Hernandez last year proved that 2020 was not a fluke. This guy truly has evolved as a hitter. In fact, the numbers he put up last year are spookily reminiscent of Jose Bautista's numbers. And when you look at their career trajectories, a lot of similarities there too. Houston thought they were giving up a nothing prospect when they acquired Francisco Liriano and sent Teoscar to the Blue Jays. Instead, mechanical and approach adjustments have led to him being one of the most feared hitters in the league. He led the team in RBIs last year. George Springer was the team's big ad last year, and unfortunately he only played 78 games. But in those 78 games, he was unbelievable. And as the Blue Jays were making their push in September, Springer went nuclear. The idea of having this guy around for 162 games instead of just 78, whoa, that's exciting. And that's not even mentioning Lourdes Gurriel Jr., Alejandro Kirk, Cavan Biggio. Oh, and then they went out and got Matt Chapman, who's a platinum glover at third base, a position of weakness, who managed to hit 30 home runs in Oakland. Wait till he sees some of the bandboxes we got in this division. So much depth in the lineup, man. This team can absolutely mash. And there's no safe spot. You don't want to pitch to Vlad? Great, here comes Teo. You don't want to pitch to him either? Great, here comes Lourdes. Don't like that? How about Matt Chapman? That doesn't do it for you? How about Alejandro Kirk? And that's assuming that you managed to get past George and Bo unscathed. Did you do that? Like, there's just no safe place in this lineup. And unlike a lot of the teams that they're facing, this team is explosive and young, dude. Young. The oldest guy on the team is George Springer, and yeah, he's a pretty significant injury risk if I'm being straight up. But all these other guys have a pretty good history of being able to stay on the field. They're all young. I mean, the word nubile is pretty creepy, but I guess it's pretty accurate. Upshot being, I feel pretty good about their chances of keeping these guys on the field and staying productive. Last year was kind of a prove-it year for a bunch of these players. You wanted to see Bo do it again. You wanted to see Vlad take the next step. You wanted to see Teo do it again. You wanted to see Lourdes take the next step. They all did, dude. They all did. A healthy George Springer and a return to form from Matt Chapman, and everybody else just doing exactly what they did last year. No improvement whatsoever, which again, these guys are young. I think they do still have more to give. If that happens, this is the best hitting team in the league. Period. End stop. I don't care who you bring up. It's this team. And the pitching. Oh, the pitching. First off, at the trade deadline last year, the Blue Jays absolutely heisted Jose Barrios away from the Minnesota Twins. Even if Martin and Woods Richardson end up being good players, which is far from a certainty, adding a 27-year-old ace-caliber pitcher who's already a two-time All-Star and never misses a start? Holy sh! We lost Robbie Ray, the Cy Young Award winner last year. Oh no, what will we do? We'll just go out and sign Kevin Gausman, who had pretty much the exact same numbers last year. And we'll sign him to a 5-year deal, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. Are you mad that Alek Manoah didn't win Rookie of the Year last year? Don't worry, he still has rookie status for this year, and he's going to pitch every 5th day. And that guy's like a bulldog out there. I don't see any reason to believe that he's going to take a step back this year at all. Hyunjin Ryu had a disappointing year last year. Like, he wasn't even that good. He was fine. His version of not good is still above league average. That's what he was last year, just above league average, and everyone was really disappointed about it. If he does exactly the same thing this year, that's a pretty strong number 4 pitcher. If he goes back up to career norms, that's an excellent number 4 pitcher, and that's what he is in this rotation. And then we lost Steven Matz, which, how do you really turn that into a devastating blow? I don't know. There was an attempt to turn that into a really big loss for the Blue Jays in the offseason. Nah, dude. But just to be sure, they went out and got Yusei Kikuchi, who, was an all-star last year. Now, that's a little bit disingenuous to say that, because he was really good in the first half of the year and then sharply fell away in the second half of last year. There was a lot of talk about that being as a result of the sticky stuff, about how as soon as that went away, so did his numbers. It wasn't as sharp as all that. It spoke more about fatigue as the year went on, more than a loss of sticky stuff. Anyway, if Kikuchi is the guy that he was last year, good in the first half, not so good in the second half, even that is pretty good. And it's not like if guys falter, we don't have a fallback plan. Nate Pearson went down with mono in spring training, which is, yeah, that guy's pretty star-crossed, so that makes a lot of sense, actually. But it actually opened up a pretty interesting timeline for his recovery. By the time that he's ramped back up, and they're building him back up as a starter, by the way, by the time he's ramped back up, we could be talking about like June, July. If Kikuchi falters again, we might have fireballer Nate Pearson to step into that role. One of the big storylines that didn't happen for the Blue Jays in the offseason was the will they, won't they flirtation of a trade for Jose Ramirez. Now, Jose instead re-upped with Cleveland and signed a long-term extension, and fair enough. But I think the Blue Jays are going to be pretty glad that they didn't pull the trigger on that trade, or that trade was never available in the first place, because now they still have a bunch of prospect capital that they can use to acquire a significant piece at the trade deadline. Yeah, that's right. This team that used trades and free agency and developing from within to get really, really good has not exhausted its resources like at all. They still have a bunch of prospect capital to go out and get a significant piece. And there's no reason to believe that they've come anywhere close to hitting their payroll threshold. This team, as constituted, even if they never add another player, is real good. And they have the wherewithal and the resources to go and get another significant player in whatever facet of the game they feel like they need to. The bullpen is crazily better than it was last year. The addition of Jimmy Garcia, I think, has a potential to really solidify things in like the 6th, 7th inning area. Adam Simber's still here. Trevor Richards is still here. Jordan Romano is still here. David Phelps is back, which I actually am kind of low-key pumped for. There's just so much positivity about this team. There's so much talent, so much depth. I've never seen anything like this before in a Toronto Blue Jays team. Like, I was a little kid when the 92 and 93 teams were going on. I've still not quite forgiven my dad for sending me to bed in the 9th inning of Game 6 of the 93 World Series. Because we were losing, and Mitch Williams was in, and he was a really good closer. And my dad was like, well, it's a school night, there's going to be another game tomorrow night, you can stay up and watch that one. I just remember waking up the next morning, running down the stairs, grabbing the newspaper. Hey, remember newspapers? And be like, ah! Anyway, where was I? Right, the present. Yes, very good. Even those teams, man, even those teams weren't as deep as this one. Even those teams, even the Whamco team wasn't as explosive as this one is. The Toronto Blue Jays have never had a team win 100 games in a regular season. I am here, I was about to say standing, I'm not standing, I'm sitting. I am here sitting before you today to tell you that this year of our Lord 2022, the Toronto Blue Jays will win 100 games in this regular season. Now, the playoffs are such a dice roll that you can't really say, and this team's going to win the World Series. We all remember the 84-win St. Louis Cardinals memeing their way to victory when they were easily the worst team in the playoffs that year. Even last year's champions, the Atlanta Braves, only won 88 games of the regular season, then they got hot at the right time. And that's pretty much the key to winning the World Series, is get hot at the right time. And there's no way to predict whether this team will do that. But I believe this team will win its division, will win 100 games, and be a strong favorite going into the playoffs. After that, who knows? I am so ready to watch this journey. I love this team. Plus, they're really good dudes. These are like the nicest dudes. I talked about how I didn't really like Alex Verdugo very much. There is no one on this Blue Jays club that I don't think is a great human being. And again, that's not just my opinion. That's what the people who are around the team say. That's what media members from opposing teams say when they interview our players. They're just like, wow, these are really good dudes. It's such an easy team to root for, and I'm rooting for them hard. I mean, yeah, right? There you have it. That's how I think the American League East is going to shake out this year. Thanks very much for watching this video. Thanks very much for watching this channel. If you've enjoyed these videos, like and subscribe. And then join me as I react to all 162 games that the Blue Jays play this year. I will see you for opening day. Let's go Blue Jays!